Hey, um, I just realized I haven't updated my blog in a while. It's been a long time. So I thought that I'd just do a video blog or something like that. I've been kind of thinking about this for a while, but I did just realize that there's really no reason to be wearing this right now. You can't transmit H1N1 through a computer, as far as I know, although it does seem to have new methods of transit all the time, it seems. And of course, it's mutating all over the place. It's ridiculous. Oh, if you notice the camera kind of bobbing up and down, that's because I'm on my laptop and it's on my chest, actually, and well, more like my belly. And so every time I breathe, it kind of gets repositioned. I wanted to address the whole Windows 7 thing because I was sick the week, of course, that it gets launched, the day that it gets launched. Um, I've been running Windows 7 since, I think, the spring in some version or another. And what's interesting about this release of Windows is Microsoft has done some press on it. They have, like they would with any operating system, but they've been really different about it this time, and that is that they haven't, they really haven't gone out of their way to publicize it. Instead, they just put it in people's hands. If you remember, the beta was free to anybody, and it would operate for a year, and then the release candidate was free and to anybody, and it would operate for a year. And that gave a lot of people an opportunity to upgrade to this new version of Windows without having to buy anything. And that was interesting because Microsoft's usually not in that game. They usually will release it out to developers and let them play with it. But that shows the confidence that Microsoft had in this operating system, and for good reason. If any of you are running it, you know what I'm talking about. So they went out on a limb with that. They kind of pushed the envelope a little bit in that, if it really sucked, if it was really bad, it would have been out early before the operating system even released. They would have had tons of bad press, but we know that's not the case. Actually, we know that indeed it's actually extremely good, and Microsoft isn't the ones, aren't the ones saying that this time. It's the general public, people who went out. Okay, maybe not the general public, maybe like the more like techie or power user public, the people willing to go out and try beta, try an RC. And I've tried to be um, clear on my feelings as far as Mac and PC go. In fact, as many of you know, I'm making this video on a Mac right now. This is a MacBook Pro that I got back in October, last October, so it's been a year now. And I've been running, and I'm a Microsoft guy. I mean, I work for a Microsoft partner. I sell Microsoft products. I install, configure, work on Microsoft products. So, if I'm running this on a Mac and I'm touting Windows 7, I hope that you can see that I'm being fair on this. I will say that architecturally, the Mac operating system is better than Windows architecturally. I mean, the way they built it, they did a good job. You've got an independent area for your applications. You've got an independent area for your user data and settings. Um, and then there's no registry, which is huge. And unfortunately, Microsoft saw the registry as a way of making things better, faster, and in truth, it made things more complicated, more frustrating, and prone to vulnerability. So it's a big fault on Microsoft's part, but they've hitched their wagon to that, and they got to run it. That's the way it goes. So with that being the case, Microsoft cannot just make a fundamental hardcore shift overnight. They just can't do that. They do have customers that enjoy their products, many. In fact, market share dictates that. And so they don't need to cut off their base with one operating system. But what can they do to improve it? And that was the question with Windows 7. How are we going to make this a much better experience with the admitted flaws that we have now? Microsoft isn't going to go out and admit we've got flaws, but certainly they know what those are. And I think this is the first time Microsoft really looked at it and said, look, we want our user experience to exceed any of the features we might have. We want, as far as like guts features. But what did they do? They made the user interface in Windows 7 incredible. In fact, running a Mac now for a year, I think the user interface in Windows is faster than Mac. And to be fair, they did take some ideas from Mac, like as they always do. And Mac takes ideas from PC. Don't think that they don't. Don't be silly. That's ridiculous. But the one that they did is Mac has Spotlight. Spotlight is a phenomenal search. It's very fast. Except for the occasional indexing that you have to wait for during a boot up or something. Spotlight's ready to go when you are. And off the start menu now in Windows, you've got a Spotlight-esque search, and it's quick, it's very fast, and it's extremely functional. And I prefer it to clicking through icons. Great feature. But what else did they add? Well, they added a ton of things. They changed the start bar completely. They got rid of the quick launch, which I know people are in love with quick launch. But trust me, they've got a hybrid solution that's 100 times better. The start bar is now is a docking area. I said dock. That's funny. I know Apple's have dock. But it's a docking area for your application. So you drop them down there, and you align them, you put them where you want them, and wherever you stick them is where they stay. And when they launch, they just get a little border around them. That's how you know they're running. But then they add this arrow peak, where if you're running video or running a document, or you have multiple tabs open in Internet Explorer, you put your mouse over the icon, and there it appears in a little box. And you can see exactly what it is. It then brings that window to the forefront and makes all the other windows invisible. You can see exactly what it is in a larger scale. But if you move your mouse away, it goes right back to the application you were at. So it doesn't take that primary presence permanently. Huge. I know it seems small, but use it for a couple days, and it's incredible. It's so fast. It's so easy to move through what you're working on at any given time. For the longest time, I was pushing Sarah to get a couple of monitors because she always needed to have, the bank website here and the account or the bill spreadsheet over here, and she'd want to compare the two back and forth. One of the coolest features for Windows 7 for her is she can take a window and drag the top of it over to one side of the screen, and boom, it fits exactly half of the screen. That's that way, and over is that application. And then she takes another window and she moves it over here and drags it, and boom, it snaps to that half of the screen. Brilliant, simple, and they didn't stop there. There's so much more with Windows 7, and not to mention stability, but speed. Oh my gosh, Windows 7 is so much faster. It retains all the cool looks plus some that Vista had. Yes, Vista looked cool. I'm sorry if you hated Vista, but it did look pretty cool. Now, in every instance, without fail, I've installed Windows 7 on a machine that was running XP, and it performs as fast, if not faster, than XP did on that machine. Now that is saying something. XP was developed in 2002. Computing hardware has come a long way since 2002. I've even put it on my kid's netbook, which is an Atom processor with 1 gig of RAM. It runs fine. They like it. So Mac's got some advantages as far as architecture goes. But as far as operating system usability, I can't think of one thing the Mac has that outperforms Windows. In fact, it used to be the apps that came with Mac OS were so phenomenal, and you just, I had to have them, like iPhoto. Well, iPhoto stinks. iPhoto is terrible. Download Picasa by Google, install that on Windows or Mac, and you will get rid of iPhoto. iPhotos, all their cool features like their face recognition and all that stuff, doesn't make a difference when their organization sucks. So, I use Picasa. I use it on my Mac. I use it on our PCs. Anyway, I thought I'd just throw out some defense for Microsoft and Windows 7. I guess they don't need it because they're this big, company grouped in probably with Walmart. They're the Walmart of the digital realm. At any rate, well, there's a video blog from a sick guy who's actually feeling pretty good today. So, there it is, my first video blog, and maybe more to come. We'll see how this goes. See you guys later.